On Sunday, the Packers will look to get back on track after a rough couple weeks when they take on the Washington Commanders on the road at FedEx Field. Can they correct the mistakes that have cost them on both sides of the ball? Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Packer Mentality Podcast. My name is Patrick Corrigan and I am your host. You can find and follow me on Twitter at Packer Mentality. My podcasts are available on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Anchor. If you are watching me on YouTube, please help my channel out and hit the subscribe button below and like the video. Costs you nothing. So if you don't have the time to keep up with all the Packer news, reports, or social media, or you just can't make any sense of them, let me help you make sense of the nonsense. And I appreciate you joining me. I called last week's game the worst game a Packers team has played in decades, and I stand by that for a very specific reason. Can any of you think of any game that the Packers were terrible on offense, bad on defense, and had a complete meltdown on special teams? I can't. Really can't. It was a very special performance. But I don't expect to ever see that again. My keys this week are not so much about what the Commanders can or can't do. This is all about the Packers cleaning up their mistakes. During the week, there were a lot of reports, and actually continue to be reports as of Thursday night with all these player moves, that the Packers are in the market or thinking about making moves, including Chase Claypool, Odell Beckham Jr. Not that I would mind such a move, either one of those guys, but there have been no real indications that a move is imminent. This is just more unsubstantiated reports from guys who are quoting sources that just floated around again this week. Thankfully, most of the Packer reporters, podcasters, Twitter commentators, they're all seem to be pretty intelligent people, and they just made fun of these guys. Odell Beckham Jr., he's not healthy yet. He's not ready yet. He's not signing with anybody yet. He is going to wait and see how things pan out. I'm almost positive, about 98% certain he's going to wait until their playoff contenders are set, and he's going to choose for one of those teams. And if the Rams are in contention, I think it's highly likely he goes back to the Rams. I do not think it's likely that he's coming to Green Bay, unfortunately. I think it's the Rams in the NFC or another contender, or even more likely an AFC contender. So don't get your hopes up. If something happens, it's awesome, but don't hold your breath. Before we get to what Green Bay needs to do on Sunday, let's quickly look at who will be available for the Packers. Listed last week, but with no designation this week, is Rashawn Gary. He seems to be completely healthy. And we have the usual suspects getting limited practice, but are probably going to play. That's David Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins, who came back from knee injuries and are just getting some extra rest while they get their body and conditioning back up to where it needs to be. And Mercedes Lewis also getting veterans rest as well. Nothing new there. Aaron Rodgers really looked like his thumb was bothering him on Sunday. Was holding it on several occasions. Looked like he was in pain. He did get a day off of practice on Wednesday, but he was back at practice Thursday. As far as guys who has not practiced so far this week, Jake Hansen, who injured his bicep on Sunday, Christian Watson, who's been out with his hamstring, and Randall Cobb, who got hurt on Sunday. Cobb is most likely out 2 to 4 weeks, and Watson I do not expect to play either. So no, none of those three will play on Sunday, in my opinion. Good news, though, is Sammy Watkins was brought back from injured reserve, and he is practicing. I don't know how much he will play on Sunday, but he is back practicing. We will see him, if not on Sunday, we will probably see him next week. For the Commanders, they have a much lengthier injury list. Limited practice this week. Tariq Castro-Fields, cornerback with a knee injury. Percy Butler, backup safety with a quad injury. A couple starters here, though. Sam Cosmi, he's their starting right tackle. He's got a finger injury. Kind of expect him to play. It's just a finger. And he's a tackle. Just wrap that up. He just needs the club. Johan Dotson, starting wide receiver, injured or aggravated his hamstring in practice this week. He is a speed guy, and we know from our own experience watching the Packers that speed guys, think Christian Watson and Sammy Watkins, hamstring is a problem for speed guys. So keep an eye on that particular injury and see if he is going to go on Sunday. Guys who have not practiced this week: John Bates, tight end, hamstring; Diami Brown, wide receiver, groin; William Jackson III, cornerback with a back injury; tight end Logan Thomas, calf injury; Jonathan Williams, running back, I believe, with a knee injury; and probably most importantly, Carson Wentz, their starting quarterback, has injured his finger. He did have surgery, not playing this week. Yes, I do realize that with Taylor Heineke playing, it's probably a better team. You can make all your jokes, but that's where it is. Taylor Heineke will be starting at quarterback for the Commanders this week. And looks like most of the Commanders' injuries will affect their offense. So let's start with what the Green Bay defense needs to do on Sunday. Now, so far this season, a lot of these guys are not playing anywhere near where they should be. And to say they're underperforming is a vast understatement. Poor tackling and missed assignments and poor communication have plagued this group. Last week, it did get better. They made some changes in the secondary, played more press man coverage, and for most of the game, or for at least half the game, it worked. Of the 27 points, 13 of those points can't be pinned on the defense, really. There came after a fumble, a blocked punt for a touchdown, and a turnover on downs from the Packers offense. Joe Barry, during this game, he moved Jair into the slot onto the Jets' number one receiver, Garrett Wilson, and Jair shut him down. This week, maybe it's a good idea to put him on Terry McLaurin. But last week, for at least half the game, this defense was actually being aggressive. And that's what the talent of this defense is best at. Be aggressive, stay aggressive, play downhill, and this needs to be the identity of this defense going forward. Now, hopefully, Packers were missing Preston Smith last week. Looks like he's good to go this week after he missed last week. On offense, Aaron Rodgers said this week that the Packers need to simplify, which when Matt LaFleur was asked about it, he was confused. I think what Rodgers is getting at is that the offense is on basic plays, on their staple plays that they should be able to run. They're just not able to run even their most basic plays. They're making mistakes, and they haven't been able to run, the plays that have been their bread and butter. They're not able to do. And if the offense is performing that poorly, it's going to be a problem, and they need to clean that up. Offensively, it starts up front with the offensive line. This offense can't win or be productive with the poor level of play this group has provided so far this year. There are no rookies in this group. These guys have all been starters for at least a year, and there are way too many mental and physical mistakes, and I just don't understand why. David Bakhtiari came back from a knee injury week 4. He's actually been the best one. He was good when he came back, and he's gotten better every week. He's not the problem, but everyone else is having problems. The offensive coordinator, Adam Stenovich, I don't know how he's seeing this and thinking it's okay. He's an offensive line coach. His job this week should be to get into the offensive line room and get this sorted out. It's week 7 and it's not working. You need to make a change. Easiest way to do that is to start with the weak link, and that is Royce Newman. Sorry, Royce. You need to be coming off the bench. They need to bring in, either move Yosh Neisman to right tackle. Doesn't look like Bakhtiari is going to need Yosh available to sub in with him, or bringing Zach Tom either at right guard or right tackle. You could move Elton Jenkins to right guard and put Yosh at right tackle, or just bring in Zach Tom and put him at right guard. One or the other. The Commanders, they have a pretty good defensive line, and if the Packers don't get this sorted out, that defensive line will eat them up. It's going to be a huge problem if this line isn't on its game. As far as the game plan goes for this team, the Packers need to become more focused on getting the ball into the hands of their playmakers. That means a lot of Aaron Jones, getting the ball in any way you can manage it. In the running game, more Aaron Jones, less A.J. Dillon. Don't know what's going on with A.J. Just seems, I don't know, he's just not running with enough aggressiveness. He's way too tentative. Need him to get back to what he was doing last year. Aaron Jones needs to get it early and often. In the passing game, it's got to shift to getting the ball and looking at Romeo Doubs more often. The film, I've watched the film every game, listened to a lot of the other experts talk about it. They see the same thing I do. He's getting open. He's getting open early, and he's open a lot. He's just, things have worked against him, preventing Aaron Rodgers getting him the ball. So things need to shift, and that needs to be the first look for Aaron. Even though that Doubs is a rookie and he's going to make the occasional mistake, you're going to have to live with it. He's already the best receiver on this team, and his hands have been spectacular. He really does a good job catching the ball. And he should be where Aaron Rodgers looks first. Find Doubs with the first read, and if it isn't there, then you have Lazard, Tanyan, who's been playing really well at tight end, and Sammy Watkins is back. Those can be your second, third, fourth read. And not to be forgotten, the special teams were a big issue on Sunday. And the issue with the special teams, unsurprisingly, was blocking. Big shock. Why are there so many issues this season on this team with blocking? And also, not surprising, the issue with blocking on the special teams on the 2 blocked kicks was Royce Newman. These guys were lined up over Royce Newman and Jake Hansen, actually, and those guys did not get the job done. Now, Hansen definitely won't be playing on Sunday, so there will definitely be at least one new face out there this week, and hopefully they will get this sorted out. Now, the final key for the Packers on Sunday will, to be honest, to come out with fire and in their guts and play with some intensity. They've looked really flat, whether it's because of the trip to London and then recovering from the trip to London, but they should be embarrassed that an opposing coach said after the game that he expected the Packers to quit or fold, and they did. That should never happen with a team with this much talent, with this much experience, having had this much success over the past 20 years, 30 years, and wearing a Packers uniform. There's no excuse. Uh, some of the issues you can see the issues when they're on the field, the body language and the facial expressions, basically just scream defeat. I swear they put Jay Cutler in a Packers uniform. And even Aaron Rodgers is guilty of this. He looks defeated out there. Where is the leadership on this team? I want one of these guys to step up and get these guys fired up. Gather them around, get them fired up. I'd like to see Rashawn Gary or Jair Alexander or Devondre Campbell get these guys going, get vocal with this team. Now, Jair and Devondre, they have brand new contracts. They should be completely secure in their place on this team. And Rashawn, he's going to get a new contract this offseason, probably a really big one, and that's going to cement his place on the team. One of these guys, whether it's one of those guys or somebody else, somebody needs to step up and be a leader on this team. These changes, they're all possible for the Packers to make and get this turned around. There's still plenty of time. And we'll talk about that next week. Keep an eye out for the recap episode on Tuesday. And thank you again for watching or listening. Have a great weekend, and go Pack Go.